he seems in pain now. He's only half a second faster, the place is unaffected, the injury's aggravated, he's not happy. So, confirmation of the placings at the end of event 1, with the Dutchman Ab Wolders leading with 8 points, followed by the current champion Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. Then it's Reeves and Kazzmaier, but Wolders is well pleased.
Yeah, but there are a lot of strength events that's coming up, like the log lift, and I'm not that good at the log lift because you need a lot of body power and upper body power. But if I stay there and get as much points as possible and win all the fast events, I'll make a chance. That's my gamble. You have to make some compromises, being very heavy and strong, or being lighter and faster. It's having a compromise between those.
The area around San Sebastian is very heavily wooded, and it's not surprising that many of the Basque games therefore involve log cutting and log lifting. Now, our axeman has been busy all week cutting ramblets, or oaks, for our competitors, but this is only a tester. It's too light for them to lift. Now, I reckon I'm reasonably competent as far as strength's concerned, but with my 12-stone frame, I can barely get it off the ground. For this second event, we've moved into the centre of San Sebastian to an historic Basque square, the Plaza de la Constitución. And the news is that Kazzmaier is paying heavily for losing his gamble in the last event. Well, Kaz, under that sock, there's some bandaging. What have you done to your foot there?
Well, I badly sprained my ankle in turning the car over on the second turn and the third turn of the second time, the second heat I had. The ankle twisted out of a low-cut shoe. It was built up a little too high. I sort of made a mistake on the footwear.
So, Bill Kazzmaier now perhaps regretting accepting that rerun. But now it's Ab Wolders being driven on by his Scottish coach Jim Pollock to perform well with his attempt at 140 kilos. He wants encouragement from the crowd. Very appreciative, very knowledgeable crowd in this Basque region. They just love these strongman events. Now, what's important here is that this log goes right above his head. It's rolled onto the chest, but the arms must be straight and locked out. He hasn't managed in that attempt. Now, he's had enough, yes. Wolders has decided to quit. Remember, injury is everything here. He must spare himself for other events if he can't manage this one. Now it's the turn of the champion, Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. Same weight, 140 kilos. Now the arms must lock out. Yes, well done. And Sigmarsson happy with his performance in this event. And every single vantage point taken in this old square, which used to be a bull ring. The numbers still in the doors corresponding with balcony positions. Well, these days it's man against man rather than man against beast. And there's surely nobody more interested than Debbie Reeves as she watches her husband. Jamie Reeves this time going for 150 kilos. Only a second lift, and they are allowed a maximum of 6 lifts each, so tactics are everything. What a superb lift for this Englishman, who's trained so hard in the winter to ensure that he can compete fiercely in this particular competition. The focus of attention switches to that injured ankle that Kazzmaier is probably rather worried about as he attempts to lift 150 kilos, his own body weight, right above his head. Now, one more thrust will do it. The arms are locked. Oh, look at the concentration. A tremendous lift by Kazzmaier, and the ankle seems to have held out. Well, it's concentration all round now as tactics come into play. This is as crucial as the lifting itself because each of the surviving competitors has to time his run. He must ensure he can climb up the weights within his 6. Kazzmaier is being asked if he wants to attempt 160 kilos. No. Jamie, you're playing a game of poker here against 2 very experienced poker players. How do you decide what to pass on?
It's been a long season for all 3 of us, and when we're log lifting, it usually boils down to me and Kaz, and it's all a game of tactics, and then all of a sudden it's like waiting for a bomb to go off, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's over.
But obviously you study the form of the other 2.
Yeah, I've had a lot of waiting in the wings, so to speak, so I've had a lot of time to study them.
When do you start throwing in your hand again then? When do you start playing?
What do you see?
Well, the familiar Viking roar that's become the trademark of this great athlete. It's his 3rd lift, with the log now weighing 160 kilos. must lock out the arms for the lift to be good. He's struggling though, and drops it. He's pointing to perhaps a leg injury, and Sigmarsson hasn't sprung to life, but dangerous to rule out this great competitor. Now, only two men left in this competition, one of them the husband of Sue Kazzmaier. Bill Kazzmaier will attempt 165 kilos. This is his third lift. And he's ever wary about this ankle injury because Kazzmaier very strong in the static events, not as powerful perhaps on the cardiovascular events, but it is important that the ankle holds out here. There's a long way to go in this competition. Yes, he's done it again, and tremendous resilience. What a fighter Kazzmaier is. The thumbs up from him. Well, the crowd really relishing this head-to-head contest. The weights are going up yet again. Jamie Reeves' third lift will be at 170 kilos. Now, just to put that into perspective, he has to lift the equivalent of two fully grown 13-stone men right above his head. This has to go above his head. He's locked out. The indication is good. And he's done it. Well, Reeves really fired up and carrying the hopes of the whole of Britain. And the first to congratulate him is his great friend and rival, Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. It's a measure of their respect for each other that they help one another with training techniques.
Jamie came to Iceland and we did some training together. Then I went to Sheffield, to Steel City, to train with man of iron, Jamie Reeves, and got some good power, good shoulder tips, and I gave him some tips about back strength. So we share secrets, you know.
Immense determination from the American, and no secret that Bill is out to beat the Englishman. Kazzmaier on 175 kilos, his fourth lift. He's attempting to leapfrog Jamie's weight. Now, very carefully because of that ankle injury. Steadying his feet. No, he's dropped it and he's in real pain now. Well, the others must be concerned for him. There are one or two trainers on, and his wife is walking over to make sure he's all right. The others obviously concerned that their great competitor will be able to finish this competition. And sometimes you get the feeling that Kazzmaier just pushes himself too far. First the car turnover, now the log lift. Is it possible at this stage to say just how this is going to affect the rest of the competition?
Well, considering when I picked up the 220-pound log and my bicep is ripped, I didn't have even a dream of making 300 and went to 380, so I don't know when to quit.
So injury means Kazzmaier has to accept second place, but what a great win for the Englishman. Jon-Pall slips to third and Wolders claims fourth. After that performance, Jamie's delighted.
To win such an event like this, which I think everyone considers as the power event, I'm very pleased.
And a very
Well
appreciative
satisfied.
audience with the Basques here.
Yeah, a great audience. I think I maybe come and train in this square every year.
So Jamie Reeves moves to the top of the table with Jon-Pall Sigmarsson tucked in behind. Wolders is on 12.5 points, just ahead of Bill Kazzmaier. Then there's a gap to Laszlo Fekete, Rudi Kuester, Ilkka Numisto and Dusko Markovic. Well, Esni Ontse Galicia is the third and final event at the end of a very competitive and grueling day one of the competition. Another traditionally Basque game, and David Webster, the tournament referee, can tell us a bit more about it. David, how did it all start?
In rural areas where people did this as part of their everyday work, carrying milk churn or heavy loads in their hands needed a good grip. There was always one guy who could do it a bit further than the rest, and they would try very much to see how far they could carry them. And so the event evolved, called the Fergus Walk in Canada and the Farmers' Walk in Scotland.
So we stay in the Plaza de la Constitución for the third event. And when you consider that this region of Spain produces more strongmen than any other, it's no surprise that the competitors have enjoyed the support of large, enthusiastic crowds so far. Already a grueling event, but to add to the difficulty, these steps have been placed there as an obstacle. Bill Kazzmaier is deep in contemplation, obviously still concerned by that ankle injury. He's up against the surprise package Wolders from the Netherlands. Now, this is not a race against the clock, it's a fight against pain, with the winner being the man who can walk furthest, carrying these two churns, each weighing 75 kilos. That's 165 pounds in each hand. Wolders sets a cracking pace. Kazzmaier gingerly watching that ankle, he's obviously in pain. Wolders clears the first obstacle. Kazzmaier onto his. Look at that frustration, he's obviously suffering. But Wolders doing well. He's being encouraged by Jim Pollock, his Scottish trainer, shouting him on to greater efforts. But he's wobbling. He's steadying himself as he comes down the steps again. These mustn't touch the ground, and you can see the legs buckling under the pressure. Wolders wearing gloves. And Kazzmaier, steadily but surely, making ground. But there is Wolders down. That's very disappointing for the Dutchman. Just stumbled onto the step, and the pain in his face tells it all. Kazzmaier trying to climb up the steps. The crowd roaring him on. They know the pain he's in. And he's gone. 71 metres, opposed to 67 for Wolders. Oh, well done. A really gutsy performance there.
I wanted that end of that fourth lap. Coming down those stairs, that just shot through my ankle.
What about the hands?
Well, of course, the hands fatigue rather rapidly. That's a rather small handle, and it cuts right in.
It's like a knife and it's pressing there. It really hurts.
The pain transfers now to Rudi Kuester from West Germany, nearest the camera, against Dan Markovic. Desperate Dan, as he's sometimes called, there on the right-hand side, holds the world record for the farmer's walk, having carried 91 kilos over 130 metres in Ontario. And Markovic has dropped it. Well, that's a major turn-up for the books. He's such a favourite in this event, but he's gone. Well, Kuester can capitalise here, more points to be picked up. He's soldiering on. But Markovic must be devastated. This should have been your joker, this event.
I felt really, I could have won it. I felt that good. But it's, those are the breaks, I guess. What am I going to do? No use crying. Another day tomorrow.
You can still smile.
That's right, you have to.
Well, what a great sportsman he is. Now we join Heat 3 with Jon-Pall Sigmarsson wearing blue against Laszlo Fekete in red. Jon-Pall slowly but surely climbing over the obstacle. He's leading this, but remember, it's distance, not time that counts, and Fekete has gone round the obstacle instead of over it. So he's wasting energy there. Over the top, an appreciative round of applause from the audience. Sigmarsson battling away. He has to do well in this one. He's been disappointing to date. Round the pole at the far end. And wearing very heavy gloves there, he's got to cling on to make sure that he can complete this course and gather the points that he so desperately needs. Well, Jon-Pall passed the point where Kazzmaier stumbled, but he's gone himself. He did make 76, that's enough to beat Kazzmaier. He goes top, he must be pleased.
Usually this is my best event, but I was trying some new tricks, using gloves and a lot of tape on the fingers. But because of using gloves, it slipped. I need to have my ass kicked.
Oh, very well, Jon-Pall, but it would be a brave man who tried it.
In the red lane, Ilkka Numisto of Finland. On your march and get set.
So, Jamie Reeves out to beat what Jon-Pall set for him. And he's off at a cracking pace straight away. Numisto on the far side there. Reeves looks very comfortable at this stage. Remember, 165 pounds in each hand and a very, very narrow handle. And the striking thing about Reeves is he looks very, very fit, enjoying every minute, talking to the crowd. And his wife's talking to him, Debbie urging him on to greater things.
Keep it steady, come on, we want another lap. All the way, Jamie, all the way.
Well, as a bodybuilder herself, Debbie knows about his capabilities. They train together. She's really ensuring that she gets the maximum effort out of her husband. Well, he's almost cantering round that post. Numisto staggering a bit under pressure, but he wants to get back online again. Well, the young lion stopping to roar at the crowd, and they really love him here. He may be red in the face, but he's so determined, and he's gone. 97 metres. He's won this event, his second successive victory, and he really thrashed them that time. Well, Jon-Pall always reckoned this was his big event, but he didn't do it this time, did he?
Well, with due respect, Jon-Pall wore some gloves, and the gloves started slipping. And he told me, he says, Jamie, don't wear the gloves. So, he's a good sportsman.
So, Jamie takes full points, and the Englishman is looking really strong. Next, Jon-Pall, then Kaz in third, and Ilkka is fourth. No one's more delighted than Mrs. Reeves. How important is it to you as a family to win this overall competition?
Very important. I've trained all year for it, ever since the last one.
And are you going to do it?
Definitely.
It's certainly looking good for Jamie, who leads Jon-Pall now by 2 clear points. The fighting American, Bill Kazzmaier, is third, and Ab Wolders is close behind. Now, the Basques enjoy good food, but what degree of nourishment does someone like Jamie Reeves require each day? Well, Jamie, there's enough food on the table here to throw a small dinner party, but this is what you eat in one day. Why do you need it all?
Well, when you're training, you're creating a need for a lot more food and a lot more energy. So obviously, you've got to up your calorific value.
How many calories are there on the table then?
I'd say maybe 12,000, between 12, 14,000.
And to put that into perspective, the average man goes through 2,500, the average woman 1,500 in a day.
Yeah, but you see, I'm 3 times size of a normal man, or 3 times weight, so obviously I've got to eat accordingly to that.
It's got to be the right balance, though, hasn't it? Tell me what each of them does.
Your chickens, you've got your protein, same again with your fish. With your fruit, you've got your carbohydrates, same with your spaghetti, your minerals and your greens and your roughage, protein again in milk, yogurts, and water for just good all-round body clearance.
If you're wanting to increase your body weight, aren't there alternatives to eating all this food?
No, it's similar to a fire. The more wood you put on the fire, the bigger the flame. So the more power and body size I need, I have to put more wood in.
At the start of day 2, we move on to the beautiful Onderetta beach. It's hard to believe now, but had last night's thunderstorm lasted, we might well have been rained off. As it was, the storm affected the competitors, including Sigmarsson, who yesterday disappointed himself.
I'm feeling better today. And Thor spoke to me last night.
This is the thunderstorm we had,
Yes.
was it?
And told me to keep on fighting and do more than I have ever done.
For Kaz, though, no such inspiration, just further injury.
Well, it's that bicep that I mentioned a little bit during the car turnover. So we're trying to wrap it in order to protect it so it doesn't rip off. I don't know if it's going to work or not.
For the holidaymakers enjoying the clear waters and golden summer sunshine of San Sebastian, another fascinating contest is about to begin. It's perhaps the one competitors dread most, and it's based on another Basque tradition which has travelled around the world, although nobody pays as much homage to the champions of this sport as the people of this region. This is Hari Atzotzea, another specialist Basque event which is peculiar to this part of Spain. But for event 4 of the world's strongest man on day 2, our own competitors have their own version of this particular event. It's quite simple, really. All you have to do is grab hold of 100 kilos of loco rock, lift it onto your chest, up onto your shoulder, and drop it. And you keep on repeating the process until you've had enough. Jamie going for his 9th lift here. Sigmarsson looking for number 10. And with them, Kazzmaier and Ilkka Numisto. White flag means a success. Now, Jamie has had 10 and he's had enough. He's pulled out, but Jon-Pall going for number 11.
That's it!
And he's happy with that. Well, Kazzmaier has struggled with injury and that bicep really is hurting him. No wonder when you consider it takes 3 ordinary mortals just to lift these stones onto the platform. Bill, if there's one word that sums up your performance so far, it's gutsy. How did you get on there?
Guts doesn't cut it if you're not at full speed, ready to go. These are the best guys in the world.
It's a killer.
Where's the greatest strain in your body when you're doing that?
Your arms. Because it tends to slip out when you pick it up, and you have to keep it in your arms. We're used to having all the strength in your legs, your back, but this is in your arms, and I'd rather have a baby than do this again. Believe me.
Well, there's no bed available in the maternity unit for Ab because he has to join Jon-Pall, Jamie, Ilkka and Laszlo for the next round. But the weight goes up to 125 kilos, which would make a huge difference.
It's a jump of 25 kilos, that's 25%. And I hope to do it once. If I do it, you get something to drink from me tonight.
I'll hold you to that. It's Jamie Reeves against Ilkka Numisto in the first heat of the final. Jamie, the youngest at 27, Ilkka, the oldest at 45. Both men weigh 23 stones, and they're being asked to lift 20 stones. So Jamie managing the first comfortably. The white flag means it was good. And Ilkka makes it 1-1. Jamie's second. And that's good as well. Now Ilkka trying to get the grip right. but that doesn't reach his shoulder. It's a red flag. Jamie's third. That's good. This weight is making a difference to the Finn. Knees buckled together. But it's too much. He acknowledges that. And Jamie loses one there. Ilkka didn't look happy there. The smoothness of the stone is much a problem as the weight. Jamie is just catching his breath. He must keep the pressure on his competitors. Ilkka's not his only opponent here. Now every effort's going into it. It's up there. He can't keep his footing. Another red flag. Well, the other strong men watching anxiously to see if Jamie can keep the pressure on. Absolutely determined. Desperately wants it, but the klaxon beats him. What can I do, he says, but the crowd enjoyed every minute of that. Now Laszlo Fekete and Wolders. Sporting handshake at the beginning. Wolders doing so well in this competition, and Fekete, the millstone thrower from Hungary, he should do well here. Well, Jim Pollock, Wolders' trainer, is urging him on. Well, he wants the crowd firmly behind him in this. Fekete seems to have the technique. That's a good hold. A white flag. And Wolders trying to grasp this one carefully. A smaller man, the lightest man in the competition, just over 18 stones. Fekete with a second. His trainer acknowledges that he has it. Oh, look at the... Jim Pollock, an impromptu Highland fling there. That must have hurt. Bare feet in the sand, and then a white flag for Wolders. Pollock says we want the flags up quicker. Fekete marching on relentlessly. It's another white flag for him. And almost takes Jim Pollock out again. Well, these boulders can be lethal. And Wolders looking to improve on his one lift already. He wants the crowd behind him. Not the most powerful man, perhaps the fastest in the competition. And these static events aren't his speciality. Now he's trying a different grip this time. The difficulty is rolling this up his chest. And maybe his arms aren't long enough for that grip. Well, Jim Pollock urging him on and almost dropping another one onto his foot. But that's number 4 for Fekete. The white flag, delight in the Hungarian camp. No wonder he's joint top with Jamie. And Wolders concedes he's had enough. He's bowing out after one. And Laszlo Fekete clearly delighted with his performance.
Erős emberek, megjön erő, megjön az ember ereje. Úgy érzem, hogy a étvágyam is nőtt. Harmadiknak benne.
Well, we'll take his word for it. No one's big enough to argue. You were coupling your fingers round it. Did you have the wrong technique there?
No, because I can't hold it like this. It slips. You saw it with Jamie the round before. But when you hold it, it has a tendency to slip. And this, you hold it like a basket. It went all right. I'm happy. You happy?
I'm delighted. I'm looking forward to that
nice
drink you
weather.
said you're going to buy me tonight.
Well, I bought it already. So
I think we were talking beer, actually.
Thank you.
Good. The time for drinking is later on, because now it's a serious business for Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. He's lifted 3 at 125 kilos. He's going for a 4th. Yes, that's number 4. This man known as the King of the Stones, slaying his opponents once more. Well, he wants them behind because he's joint top now with Fekete and with Jamie. Stopping to clap them on. And that is number 5. Well, Hercules is back in business. He's asking if they want a 6th. Well, bearing in mind that he can save himself at this stage, he's deciding just to be the showman. Well, the world really is a stage for this Icelandic King of the Stones. Well, this is the Jon-Pall Sigmarsson of old, really back to top form and confirmation of his first win in San Sebastian. Jamie and Laszlo Fekete share 2nd place, with Wolders and Numisto joint 4th. And that win as much for Iceland as for Jon-Pall.
In Iceland in the old days, we used to have many, many great men, fighters, warriors, also very great writers. They wrote down the stories about what the great men did, but now today we have not so great writers, we have only great strongmen.
So Thor has Jon-Pall fired up again. He's threatening Jamie's lead. There's only half a point between them now. Wolders and Bill Kazzmaier share third place, so it's all hotting up at the halfway stage, with these four drawing away. Back into town to our next location beside the river Urumea. Event number 5 is the truck pool, but with the rain cascading down, this event must be in jeopardy. The crowd is improvising with any cover available as beach towels become rainwear. And you can see the rain is refusing to let up, and with the risk of serious injury facing competitors, the officials must surely be considering postponement. How difficult is this to catch a real grip on it?
Well, did you ever slip on a banana peel? It's about the same.
Do you worry about Bill being injured?
Yes, I always worry about Bill being injured, especially now because it makes the conditions very, very dangerous. They can slip, fall, hit their kneecap, pull a hamstring. You just don't know.
Disappointment for the large crowd, but with safety paramount, event organisers have wisely decided to postpone until tomorrow. The evening, however, is warm and dry, and there's a buzz of anticipation at the Café Guria at the Bencochea Plaza for event number 5. Few things are as important to the Basques as their food, and right at the top of that list of priorities is cheese, one of the great favourite dishes here. Well, everybody's sitting around the tables just now, enjoying a nibble, waiting for the competition to begin. But I can tell you this, our strongmen won't enjoy looking at the cheese one little bit. They've got 12.5 kilograms in each arm, and they want to keep it up for as long as possible. Jamie Reeves is the front runner. He's going for a world record here. Salud.
Dan Markovic, Canada.
Mind this side, do the Scaleria!
Well, Dan Markovic, a Yugoslavian-born Canadian, demonstrating his penchant for language. He was getting a rather disappointing reaction when talking to the crowd in Spanish until he twigged that they'd much rather hear Basque. So, with them firmly behind this Toronto drugs cop, it's up to Dan to make his mark. Now he must keep his arms touching the wood all the way along. If he releases his hands from the wood, then the clock stops. 12.5 kilos in each arm, the strain enormous. Everybody giving him encouragement, gritting his teeth, trying to bear the agony. Beginning to wobble. More than 33 seconds on the clock now. The strain in these biceps is enormous. Look at the expression on his face. Oh, the arms are wobbling. And that's it, 43 seconds. But a brave start from the Canadian. Now, Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. He's so close to Jamie, only half a point, remember, separating these two. Now, he doesn't like this one. The longer the arms, the more strain placed on the body. Trying to keep it all under control. Trying to smile through the agony. It's mind over matter at this stage. The clock ticking on, but the arm has dropped, and that's disappointing for the champion. Obviously concerned. He needed the points badly, and that's what he thinks of that. We join it again with Wolders hitting the pain barrier, but it's a good performance, and he joins Markovic at the top in 43 seconds. Now Bill Kazzmaier. Such a determined competitor. But that's where it's hurting the biceps, strapped heavily. Oh, he's trying to shut out the pain, concentrating all the way. Great encouragement from the big crowd, though. It's like lifting a 2-year-old child in each arm. 43 seconds the time to beat. He's struggling ever closer. He's done it 1 second into the lead, ahead of Wolders and Markovic. What a brave performance from this tough American, and he goes top. But there is one man who can beat Kazzmaier, and that's Jamie Reeves of Great Britain. His massive upper body strength, a tremendous advantage in this event. He's so composed. Nodding away, I can do this, he says. He knows these competitors so well, and he believes that he really is fit for this event. smiling away. Almost nonchalant. Yes, he says. Now he knows that 44 seconds is the time to beat. He's only 10 seconds short of that. And under no duress whatsoever at this stage. The clock ticking ever near 44. He's passed it, he's guaranteed of success. Now it's just a question of pride. Can he go for the world record? It stands at 72 seconds. Oh, the hands are wobbling. Tremendous pain. He's gone. What a performance, though. Well, that is Jamie's third win in a row, with Bill Kazzmaier fighting second. Dan Markovic and Ab Wolders share third. But this has been a disaster for Jon-Pall Sigmarsson, who could barely hold on to sixth place.
It is at the moment my worst event, but I am not so unhappy because the best man won.
Jon-Pall's got some good events to come tomorrow, so I've only just won another little battle, not the war yet.
I'm only 3 behind Jon-Pall, and my best event's a truck pull. I should do real well with the cart and the loading, so I plan on getting right up there into a solid second and maybe even chasing Jamie.
Fighting talk from the American, and Jamie consolidates his lead, which is now stretched to 5.5 points. Jon-Pall's stumble has cost him dearly. Kazzmaier hangs on in third, and Wolders is closing the gap just 1.5 points behind. Well, the competitors now head for their beds for some well-earned sleep, Thor permitting, of course. But visitors to this colourful city never seem to call it a night. It's Fiesta Week, and the streets are thronging till 4 or 5 every morning. Human pyramids, street dancing, even a reenactment of the bull running of Pamplona, just 50 miles south of this area. The sparks fly and the celebrations go on long after the firework-laden bulls retire. And fireworks continue to light the skies all week, as each region of Spain spends more time and more money than the last to impress the judges who assess the displays every night. And the next day, the crashing of the Atlantic breakers are no doubt aggravating a few sore heads. Day 3 of the world's strongest man competition begins right here in front of the beautiful La Concha Bay. It's another traditional Basque event, the Basque cart carry. Now, the idea is to carry this massive cart for as long as the competitors can endure it, round the circle, and then there's a measurement to see how far they've managed to carry it. It's the very kind of event that will make or break Jamie Reeves' chances of winning this World Championship. Every single viewpoint is taken to watch another crowd pleaser.
In your own time.
And Rudi Kuester, the West German, is first to go. He's failed to worry the leaders so far, but he started very, very strongly in this one. He's heaving 228 kilos of cart to waist height. Now, in Basque games, the competitors are allowed to hook the cart into their belts to spread the load, but our men aren't in this one. Nevertheless, Kuster's doing very well. The pain is showing, but the crowd are urging him on further, and this is his best showing in any event so far. Remember, these wheels mustn't touch the ground. Well, the legs are going just a bit. He's forcing himself on further. Oh, that was great. 65 metres, a tremendous performance. Now Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. He's almost completed one circle, but he doesn't look comfortable in this event at all. Grimacing through the pain, and he's stumbling along. And it's almost as if the cart's running away from him. He mustn't touch the ground. No, it's down. And tremendously disappointing, just 45 metres. And look at these legs, they're almost like rubber. Now Jamie Reeves, the tournament leader so far. Last year, Jon-Pall Sigmarsson had to give up. His wife, Debbie, urging him on, but it's hurting. She's running round with him just to keep him on top of this one. Well, the cart crashes to the ground at the 54-metre mark. He needed more than that just to stay out in front, but this is a very technically difficult event.
Twisted, so he can't walk properly, and with the muscles not working in line in your hips, puts a tremendous strain on your legs and hamstrings.
Well, we pick it up with Laszlo Fekete laughing off any doubts about his ability. He's gone round once already. His trainer really winding him up for this one. And he's showing him where his competitors have stopped. He's passed their mark. Just look how high the cart is off the ground. That's tremendous. Still laughing. No sign of crumbling at all. Come on, says his trainer. Further yet, past the next one. And down it goes with 68 metres. He goes into the lead. Now we pick it up with the injury-stricken Bill Kazzmaier struggling yet again against all odds. And only he can describe the pain he's been through.
A lot of spasm and a cramp in the arm. Other than that, the legs start to go. Think about one thing or the other. The ankle wasn't doing anything, it wouldn't come along with me. So, started thinking of head to toe pain. It's a pretty tough exercise.
So on to the last competitor, Wolders, the sprightly Dutchman, now turning cartwheels, quite literally. He's gone round once. As ever, Jim Pollock, his trainer, by his side. These two work together on the Highland Games circuit in Britain, but what a combination they've been here this week. Very steady pace from the Dutchman. Now Jim Pollock screaming at the top of his voice. That's where you have to go, says Pollock. Come on. Now Fekete stopped there. Another few paces and he's passed him. Come on. But he's done it. 70 metres. He's beaten the Hungarian. So a second win for the Dutchman, whose challenge there was quite superb. Fekete, Kuester and Numisto salvaged their pride, beating the overall leaders. But it really seems as if Wolders has the bit between his teeth.
You've got a running event, two running events more. You see some surprises today. Okay? Keep watching.
So after 6 events, Jamie's still comfortably out in front, but Wolders' success in the cart lift now means that he overtakes Jon-Pall into second place. Bill Kazzmaier holds on in 4th position, but the American's injuries are having a severe effect on him. And so we reach the penultimate event in this competition for the Daft Trophy. This is one of the most famous of all, the truck pull. It's 380 horsepower, which normally drive these 6.5 tonners. Well, today there's just one man out in front apiece. It's a head-to-head competition, man against man. Kazzmaier says he's favourite for this one, but that ankle injury must surely come into play. Jamie looking rather apprehensive, but as ever, a quiet word of encouragement from Debbie. Now, there's Rudi Kuester, waiting for this one. He's up against the Finn, Ilkka Numisto on the far side. Now they must stay very low for this. These huge wheels have to turn as quickly as possible. And the Finn, using spikes, digging into the tarmac, the German without them. Numisto's using his hands effectively as well. Already he's building up momentum. The German rather high perhaps, not getting enough power into it. It's a good time. This 45-year-old Finn touching down in 29 seconds, the German just behind him. Well, a good performance from this very affable Finn. Well, Rudi seems happy enough, but how does the scorching heat affect the most northern competitor?
A little bit too hot for him. Okay. Finland, gold.
On to heat number 2 now.
United States of America, in the red lane, Laszlo Fekete of Hungary. On your marches, it's set.
Now the big question here is, will that ankle hold out for Kazzmaier? He is very low down, he's making good progress already. Laszlo Fekete higher up, not using his hands effectively. And immediately you can see that it's Kazzmaier who's pulling away. Remarkable resilience for this tough American. The time is not bad at all. Now he's opened up a gap in Fekete. And 28 seconds, a tremendous time. He takes the lead, and considering the injury and the pain he's gone through, that is quite fantastic. Well, he has to be helped to his feet, though. The ankle is obviously causing him much duress. The crowd clearly concerned about that injury.
Bill, how did the ankle hold out there?
I'm not getting anything out of it. Getting anything out of the legs. It's too beat up.
You wouldn't give up, though, will you?
Well, I'll try. But try as I may, this just wasn't my day.
Well, Jamie Reeves knows the time he has to beat, and that 23-stone frame pushing hard against the starting block. It's a head-to-head with Dan Markovic, 21.5 stones. And already it's Reeves who opens up the gap. Debbie screaming at her husband. Oh, he's going so fast now. This is going to be a good time. 22 seconds, 6 better than Kazzmaier. What a performance from the Englishman. And Markovic is down. But Reeves is delighted.
Really needed it, you know. But I think this is the harder lane on this side. So, you know, Ab's very strong. So is Jon-Pall. So, just have to wait and see.
Let's do the business!
Well, Sigmarsson still clearly determined to retain his title. He needs a good result in this one. And off they go. Sigmarsson almost flattening his face. And Wolders is a full 2 stones lighter than the Icelander. Jon-Pall urging his man on. And already it's the Dutchman who's taking the lead. Now this would be another major upset because it's Wolders who's moving ever closer to the line. The time's going to be good. 24 just ahead of Jon-Pall Sigmarsson, and defeat for the Icelander another major disappointment. And a shocked second place for the Dutchman.
I like truck pulling, but I don't like losing. But losing to a better competitor, you have to take it.
If I'm second in this event, it's more than I could expect in an event. I'd like to beat Jamie again. Sorry.
Well, really no need to apologise because the replacement Dutchman is making a late run. While Jamie wins the event, Ab takes second place. Jon-Pall slides to third, and Bill Kazzmaier has to accept fourth. Jim, did you really think this man was up to this kind of task?
No, not really, no, because he had been competing for 2 weeks in Highland Games and he was trying to relax. We said we would go on a holiday. He was trying to get a relaxing couple of days watching the other ones do the work. And then on the Thursday morning, he came to me and he said, "We're working this weekend."
Well, Jamie Reeves is almost unassailable with a massive 7-point lead. Ab Wolders pulls away from Jon-Pall to a clear second position, and Jon-Pall's title is relinquished, with Bill Kazzmaier in fourth place, well ahead of the rest of the field. The last event switches venues once more, with the Old Harbour grabbing centre stage. This town, of course, has relied on its fishing fleet for centuries, a fact reflected by the rich variety of seafood restaurants which line the harbour walls. And this crowd has relished every event. They don't want to miss the climax of this thrilling contest. Jamie's parents can relax now with the winning post in sight for their pit worker's son. Back at the pit in Sheffield, they'll be rooting for him too. But they'll all have to wait because the 6'3", 21-stone Icelander's not giving up his title lightly. Jon-Pall still defiantly slaying the heavenly opponents. And nice to see a sporting handshake with Bill Kazzmaier, the man who's never given up throughout. Well, after 3 hard days of competition, this is a grueling finish. The object is to load 6 awkwardly shaped items, each weighing 90 kilos, onto a truck. Now the course is 10 metres and uphill. Jon-Pall knows better than anybody that the world's fastest strongman, Wolders, can deny him even a second place, and that would really dent his fierce Icelandic pride. So he really has to burn up this course to save his honour, and he started well. Keg is tossed onto the truck. Remarkable to think this man started as the title holder. He's fighting now to retain even second place. The last item, the anchor. 90 kilos, every one of these objects. And on it goes, 44 seconds. A last stab at the gods who conspired against him. He's been under par all week, but fought to the very end. Well, the large crowd packed into the harbour area, warming to the showmanship of Jon-Pall Sigmarsson. And with the issue of second place yet to be decided, the Icelander concedes that, barring injury to the Englishman, Jamie Reeves is the new title holder. But Jon-Pall has some kind words for his great friend and rival.
Jamie, Reeves, man of iron from Sheffield. Champion now.
Well, Jamie acknowledging that glowing tribute from his hero. So let's see if it's to be Sigmarsson or Wolders who finishes runner-up. There's a real spring in the Dutchman's step, with Jim Pollock demanding maximum effort. Jamie needs only one item to be loaded to confirm him as champion. But the full focus of attention is on the Dutchman. Can he put Jon-Pall Sigmarsson into third place? 44 seconds is the time to beat. Wolders starting very strongly. Reeves is giving it his all as well. That boy filled with sand, 90 kilos in every object. Wolders is really motoring. The fish is tossed onto the back of the truck. 2 items left. Now Wolders just has one object to take to the truck. It's going to be tight, only 8 seconds left. He's really struggling with this one. One last effort, it's there. Wolders wins the event and takes second place in the championship. Now Jamie loads this on, picks up his crown as the new world's strongest man. Clearly delighted. Second in the championship, you must be delighted.
Well, remember that this 1 point makes me 100 or 1,000 pounds. Think about that. It makes you run like hell.
Well done, you came here to win the world's strongest man competition, you've done it.
Yeah. You know what makes it better is to beat some great champions like Jon-Pall and Bill and Ab. They're all great champions, and to do it in a field of this calibre makes me very happy.
I know how desperately you like to win these things, but you're very worthy of your praise of the others there.
Well, yeah, you know, the other guys are great. They really are. I mean, they deserve all that they get. Jon-Pall's been a good champion for 3 years, 3 times. Jamie is well deserving of the championship. He trained really hard. He came up so fast in the last 2 or 3 years, building up his upper body, his lower body, and then his conditioning and his practicing of the events. You can't say enough about him. He deserves it, obviously.
At the moment, my sword is not sharp enough. So, in about 5 days, I am going to go to Sheffield and get a new sword. And Jamie Reeves, the world's strongest man now, he is going to make it for me. So, you will see me and Jamie back next year, fighting again for the title. But it is a great honor to lose for such a great champion as Jamie is. So salute for Jamie. He's a true champion.
2 former champions so sincere in their praise of Jamie Reeves, who wins the title so magnificently by 5 clear points. Ab Wolders takes second place, Jon-Pall Sigmarsson has to accept third, and the brave Bill Kazzmaier finishes fourth. So in the evening sun, Mr. Chris Thornycroft-Smith, Senior Executive of DAF, the event sponsors, presents the winner's trophy and a cheque for £5,000 to Britain's Jamie Reeves, the world's strongest man.
In half an hour, Mel and Griff will be head-to-head again.